Okay, hey YouTube, this is VileGar, and this is going to be my first video on YouTube, so I decided to do something simple. I'm just going to look at my VileGar list, and then, tell you what to do with it, basic strategy and whatnot, price, and then how well it matches up against other decks. So let's just get into it. Let's start with the energies over here. I run 7 Psychic Energies, 3 Rescue, and 2 Warps. Okay, now trainers or supporters and stadiums. I run 3 Beebs, 3 Collectors, 3 Seeker, 3 Looker's Investigation, 3 Cyruses, 1 Palmer's, and for stadium I run 3 Broken Time Spaces and 1 Lost World. Okay, now for Pokemon I run 1 Azelf, 2 Uxies, a Mr. Mime, an Unknown Q, 4 Spiritomb from Arceus, the one with Darkness Grace, 2 Oddish, 2 Gloom, and 2 Vileplume. And then for the Gengar line, I run 4 SF Ghastly, 3 Triumphant Haunters, a Gengar Prime, 2 SF Gengars, and a Gengar level X. Okay, so for basic strategy of this deck, what you're going to want to do is, you really want to start with Spiritomb. That way you can keep Trainer Lock up since turn 1, and then hopefully you're lucky enough to start with an Oddish or a Ghastly, and you just try and build up a Ghastly and Vileplume as soon as possible. This is really, I don't know what to compare the speed in this deck to, but I mean it's fairly fast. I don't have any problems ever getting out a Gengar turn 2 or 3, and a Vileplume turn 2 or 3. I mean, I've done it multiple times against a lot of decks. As far as like price goes in this deck, your 2 most expensive cards are the Gengar X and the Gengar Prime, and Gengar Prime's gone down to like $20-something, so it's not that expensive, and it isn't even necessary for this deck. It's just nice to have. I'd say like total cost of everything in this deck is like close to $200. I think that's a fairly decent estimate, is around $200 for the entire deck, and I think it's worth it. I mean, if you've read states reports, a lot of VileGar won a bunch of different states around the country, so it's a really good deck, and it's only been made better by the combination of Gengar Prime and the Lost World. Giving an alternate win condition definitely helps out this deck. So if you aren't able to deal out damage, as much damage as you want with Gengar's Poltergeist, you have the reliance of the Hurl into Darkness and Curse Drop through this Gengar, which gives you an alternate win condition when paired with Lost World. As far as your matchup against, let's say, a Lux Chomp deck, it's fairly decent. If you can get Trainer Lock up as soon as possible, it's basically a win, because any SP deck relies on a heavy trainer line. So if you're able to stop them from using their trainers, it makes them a lot less efficient, and you're able to deal for huge amounts of damage. And if you play it right, you can win in about 10 turns, because there's really nothing that they can do to stop it unless they run a Dialga counter to your Vileplume, but I'm not really going to get into that. Uxie, I saw a lot of that at States. It fares up well because, you know, Uxie runs like 30 plus trainers, so if they can't spit out 20-30 trainers within the first couple of turns, they're gonna lose. So I mean, you got Spiritomb there to trainer lock them, so it's basically an auto loss for Uxie. Uxie is an auto loss to VileGar, is what I like to say. Dialga, this is probably your toughest matchup, because it shuts off Vileplume while having a resistance to Gengar. So basically what you're going to do against Dialga is rely on Gengar Prime and Gengar level X to level down, as well as Hurl into Darkness. So if you can get a DGX into the Lost Zone, it's going to be very beneficial, because I saw a lot more 3-1 lines on Dialga than I did a 2-1. I mean 2-2. So if you can get that DGX in the Lost Zone as soon as possible, your matchup is a lot better. The mirror match, it's just basically whoever gets the fastest setup. So if your opponent starts with a Spiritomb, Oddish, Ghastly, and Uxie in hand, whereas you start with just a Mr. Mime or something, you're probably going to lose. I hate to be blunt, but or make assumptions, but I mean that's just how it is. Sableye, that's where your biggest problem is, because they rely on the Haunch Crow and the Blaziken, and since you have like the Blaziken that can Luring Flame, I don't know, your Vileplume up, and then just stall, and you also have the Haunch Crow, which one-shots all your Gengars, all of them, and if you get the Tails on the Fang spell, it's pretty much an auto loss. So if they get their Haunch Crow up on like turn 2 or 3 fully built up, that's going to be some problems, and Sableye is really easy to donk against this deck, because you'll get Ghastly starts like it's nothing, and they just tear through Ghastlies. So Gyarados, again, you trainer lock them so they can't use their super scoop ups, their belts, and you have the potential to hurl one of their Magikarps, which is basically going to cripple the Gyarados deck. So the Gyarados matchup is it's pretty nice. I like it. But don't just, you know, be like, oh, I'm going against Lunch Chomp, I'm going to win. Oh, I'm going against Uxie-Donk, I'm going to win. At States, I run straight up VileGar. I didn't have Trainer Lock in there because I ran Speed VileGar. It's basically get Gengar up as fast as you can and start hurling. And I've barely beaten Uxie-Donk. That's kind of sad, because Uxie-Donk is supposed to last past like turn 3, and it went on for like 7 turns. It took me 7 turns to beat an Uxie-Donk deck with straight up VileGar. The only other deck that I beat was a Pokemon with Raichu, and those are my 2 wins at States. Yeah, pretty pathetic. So don't run straight up VileGar. Run like VileGar if you want to go with more of a Gengar Prime build than a SF build. What you do is you just switch it out, 2 Gengar Primes, and with just 1 SF instead of 2 SFs with 1 Gengar Prime. That's what a lot of people with VileGar won States with. That's what I've heard from my league. But yeah, so if you have any questions, just comment, post, whatever, send me a message. Oh, also, I have an Uxie level X for trade, as well as a Luxray for trade. I'll post those in my video, my binder video that I'm going to post here in a little bit. So yeah, thanks for watching.